the blame game. We know where the finger points, although they like to deflect that, but we are still pointing the finger in the right direction. But we now need to be having a serious conversation about the cure, the healing of this community, solving the solution, breaking ground, replacing pipes. We need to know why things aren't being done as our kids continue to get sicker by the day, and the numbers.
Good afternoon, everybody. Sorry about that on the audio. We're going live right now with Bernie Sanders in Flint, Michigan at a forum. I just found this feed from WNEM.com. We have introductory speakers right now. Thank you for joining us. Here we go.
That you're not just screaming in a night sky and no one's listening. We are taking your message to all of our elected representatives at the state level and in the federal level. You know that Congressman Dan Kildee is doing a heck of a job for Flint. And you know that you're being heard when we have Senator Bernie Sanders here. You have his full attention. Let him know what Flint needs to heal. Thank you.
Okay, let me just start off by asking a few questions. How much are people paying a month for poisoned water? What's the answer to that? How much you paying? How much? $200? $200? Is that about right? $150? $300? All right. So you're paying $150, $200, $300 a month for water that you cannot drink? What about showering? Can you shower or take a bath? All right, so we're getting to another issue. All right, issue number one, general agreement. People are paying huge amounts. They're paying 4 times what I'm paying in Burlington, Vermont for poisoned water. That's a fact? All right. Is there any discussion in this community about saying that people should not have to pay outrageous prices for poisoned water? Question, is there any discussion? Yes, sir. Stand up, please. There's legislation that would reduce the water bill by 65%? Is that what I'm hearing? Pardon? Okay. Is that retroactive? And the water is still poisoned. Okay. Number 2. All right. Just help me out here. What is the quality of the water today? Is it drinkable in the average person's home? Okay. Now, I heard when I met with Danielle and some other folks, apparently one of the points that was made is there's still confusion about what is going on and what is safe and what is not safe. For example, somebody mentioned in that meeting, Danielle, and you can come up and comment on it if you want, that sometimes people assume that if you boil the water, it becomes safer, which I'm not a physicist here, but as I understand it, that's not the question.
It had been boiling alerts. They were going across the screen and they were telling people to boil the water to make it usable or drinkable. I'm not quite sure of both, but from what I understand, that intensifies some of the poisons in the water. Yeah, it's been a long time.
Okay. So there is still now lack of certainty, or I am hearing that boiling it is a bad idea. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay, but do people know that? All right, so first of all, at the very least, it would seem to me, again, I speak as a former mayor here, is you got to get information out to people as to what they should be doing and what they should not be doing, all right? And then, Danielle, I also recall that you have an immigrant population, non-English speaking population, or even more in the dark than other people. Is that right?
I get, through my nonprofit, I always get questions about people. I can't speak another language, unfortunately, so I try to refer them to somebody who can help them. So we get questions about that all the time.
All right. So help me out here. If I am living in an average home here in Flint and I want to take a shower, I want to take a bath, what happens? You flip the dice and you hope you don't get poisoned. Is that what's going on? Okay, what are we doing? Do I understand that water is now being distributed this way? So if I want to take a bath, that's a lot of these things, yes? Is there any water buffaloes coming into the town? Why is that? All right, hold on, raise your hand. Let's get some answers here. And anybody on the panel wants to...
I would like to just say...
You can use the mic if you want to.
So I just took a bath here the other day in Flint, about 10 days ago when I stayed in my hotel, and my skin was burning afterwards. And I have a pretty big Facebook following where people are like, why did you take a bath in Flint? I'm like, I had to. I was in Flint. I had to take a bath. And the thing is, while the lead is a problem, and that's a serious problem, and I'm a lead poisoning prevention advocate, and that's going to be my priority, the treatment with chloramine and chlorine and fluoride is also a significant problem, because I believe, from what I know as an environmental activist, that this water is also being over-treated at this point. And I would not consider the water, even if the lead levels are low, safe to drink. It smells like a swimming pool when you turn on the tap. The one other thing that I'm not sure people are fully aware of is that when you combine chloramine with fluoride in the water system, it increases the bioavailability of lead by 900%.
So it sounds to me like there's lack of clarity about what is happening here in terms of the quality of the water.
That are present in our water that nobody is even testing for. With Legionnaire's disease, our cases went up from, 4 to 10 cases as of 4 or 5 years ago. Now we're at 80 cases a year. And this is something that's been charted. But this is just one actual thing that we test for. We don't test for a slew of other bacterial and viral things that are in our water. Right, how is this a thing?
So I'm hearing from you that you're not, to say the least, happy with local, state, and federal response. Might say that. Now, I'm in the United States Senate. What about the EPA? Have they been doing what they should be doing? Okay. Here, stand up if you could, please, sir.
There was an EPA employee, and an EPA employee brought this to light.
Okay.
Senator Sanders, can I add something?
Sure.
I have mothers. I was at a town hall meeting, and mothers are concerned about their daughter's reproductive system. They're worried about them being able to be grandmothers. We're worried about because I get requests for jugs of water and gallons of water to take baths, so they won't have to keep pouring the bottled waters in the tubs, because it takes about a 24-pack to take a bath, and then it's a family of 5 or 6. So we got families that's worried about their future generations. Not just immediate, but 10 years, 20 years down the line.
Sure.
About that, so we're an advocacy organization. We try and collect this information free of government bias, free of industry bias, and that's our website has a lot of information. One of the things is a doctor that we've interviewed. Her name is Dr. Felicia Rabito. She's with Tulane University, and she recently did a study showing that a blood lead level as low as 0.4 to 0.5 can cause an increased risk of low birth weight in newborns, miscarriage, and other birth and fertility issues. And they're telling nursing mothers that don't worry unless your blood lead level is 40 or above. And it's 0.5. So the misinformation is getting to the public about the level of concern. So even these, even though the federal standard for lead in water that it's considered toxic is 15 parts per billion, it's been now, the recommendation is lowered to 5 parts per billion. But when you're looking at these trace levels in maternal blood, you're really looking at a serious impact at very low levels.
Let me ask this question. I know this, what broke my heart 9 days ago, and it's really one of the most horrific statements I've ever heard. We had a woman in the meeting who talked about, Danielle, you remember this, a bright young daughter that she has, who's doing really well in school, outgoing. And she has noticed, correct me if I'm wrong here, but she has noticed in the last 2 years a significant deterioration of the intellectual capabilities of that child. Is that right?
Yes, sir, Senator. I know her daughter personally. She was an honor roll student. In the last 2 years, they couldn't figure out what was going on with her. Her grades were dropping, her attention span was shortening, and now they have her in special education classes. And she has tested positive for lead poisoning.
So in other words, what this mother observed, and can you imagine, unless I want to talk for a moment about it, a mother watching her very bright, outgoing young girl deteriorating intellectually, and now I think is in a class for special ed.
Yes, sir.
Short-term memory and so forth problems. What are we observing in the community? Are we seeing things like this? Who wants to talk a little bit about some of what we are seeing in the community?
Senator?
Yes, where's the hand?
Nakia.
Yes, ma'am. I don't see you. Right
Raise
here.
your hand, Nakia.
Okay. Yep, please. Your name, please?
Yes, my name is Nakia Wakes, and I'm a resident here in Flint, Michigan.
Nakia, if you could turn around so that everybody can see it.
Me and my children has had a major impact. I lost twins in July of 2015 due to being poisoned. Both of my kids have tested positive for high levels of lead. My son has been suspended 56 times this year in school. He's in the first grade and he doesn't even want to attend school anymore. So this is a real problem here in Flint, and I would like to know, after this President campaign, what would you do to help us here in Flint?
I'm happy to try to answer that, but let me get back to it. Do you attribute your son's behavior to the poisoning that he's experienced?
Yes, sir. He's been at the school 2 years. He's at International Academy of Flint. Last year, he was suspended 1 time. Like I said, this year, since the exposure of my son's lead, he has been suspended 56 times. I feel like they're going to fail my son because, he's been out of school. And I took the paperwork to the school that he's been affected by this lead. And they're saying that, the lead can cause behavioral problems, right, which I'm seeing,
and that's what you're seeing in your son right now.
Yes, and I know that it's an effect from him being affected by the lead.
Okay. Well, thank you for having the courage to stand up and tell us your reality. Okay. Okay, can we get a mic over right here, please? There's a mic there.
There is still no accounting. And we have reappealed the emergency manager law, but our governor, and I'm not going to call him out of his name because I'm trying to use civil discourse, but every time we make a statement, a political statement as a community, he can change the laws. And the laws do not apply to him, including the Federal Information Act. He has exempted himself from all of the Democratic view. And to give you just an idea of what's happening in this community, we have millions of dollars coming in, and we have people from other cities who are coming in with more water than his people are giving to people. And we are not getting all the information. EPA, we think that they're finally here, but they change their information every other week. And we have been talking about this for years. And just to give you an idea what the money looks like, that if you moved here and you got a new place, they charged you $450 deposit, regardless of what your credit statement was. And then they said, even if you never used your water, you were going to be charged a minimum of $52 a month. So if you can imagine people in this community who are used to, a few years ago, it was only $30 a month for your water. And so you're about to move into a new apartment. You have to do first and last, but now you have to come up with $450 just as the deposit. And people were coming saying that this water is brown. We're getting rashes, and they continue to ignore it. So what I'd like to see, and I'm sure many of the citizens were here, we'd like to make sure that if our governor can appoint an emergency manager, we want him to have an emergency manager. Because he has demonstrated that he cannot lead this community. And he has demonstrated, the citizens here have said we've had enough. So we want somebody in place that can lead this community and not just give us a Band-Aid solution. If the billionaires at Wall Street can get billions for the mess they made and get bailed out, then we don't need Band-Aids of 38 million, 28 million. We need numbers like billions, period.
Okay. Other comments? Simply, straightforwardly, what's going on in the community? What are we seeing with our own eyes? Woman right there. Yes, ma'am. Please stand up.
Hi, my name's Allie. I'm a resident of Davison, which is about 10 minutes out, and I'm a member of the Flint Youth Ballet, so I'm around lots of my peers that live in Flint. And it's heartbreaking to see some of my best friends go through this water crisis, to go home and not be able to shower or just drink water. See my younger students tell me my family can't afford to go out and buy water bottles, and now it's starting to affect our car payments, and we're so focused on the water. And now my mom is a nurse anesthetist. She works at McLaren Flint. She didn't know what was going on at the hospital, and now people aren't trusting her. So I want answers. I want to know why my mom's getting blamed when she didn't know anything. I want to know why my peers can't even go home and drink and shower.
Okay, sir. Yeah. He's got a microphone. Just tell us who you are. Yep. All right, let's get a mic there. Can we get a mic for the councilor?
First and foremost, I want to thank you for coming to Flint to take an interest into our problems that has crippled our city. I wanted to say something at first, but when the lady made a statement, the young lady, I want to make a statement to that, if I may, but it's going to educate you as well. For the last 30 years, this city has had $9 billion come through this city. $9 billion. We was the first industrialized city, third economically in the nation, predicated and profiled on General Motors. General Motors left. We are considered today the second poorest city in the nation. We have 42% of the people that live in this city are in poverty. We have 40% of the people that live in this city read below a 6th grade level. And we got almost 40% of the people that live in this city has felonies on their record. This problem that we're suffering from right now, I have to be honest with you, it's a genocide that is attacking the low, moderate income people who are considered poor on all ethnic groups, from white, Hispanics, Chinese, however many it is. And that's what this problem is. I've been in council, I've been in government for 3 years, and this city doesn't have a tax base, and I've never heard a discussion about creating a tax base in this city. We have the best colleges. Kettering is one of the best engineer schools in this country, and people come from all over the country to go to this school, and I know that the plot is to turn this city into a college city and run the low, moderate income people out of here. Our water bills is $140, $150 a year, but what people is not explaining to you is when you're not able to pay that water bill, it goes on your property taxes, and you lose your home. I paid $1,000 last week so my home would not be taken, and it was a water lien that I could not pay some time ago, 3 years ago, and I just paid it so I wouldn't lose my home. And that's what this problem is. And I want to explain that to you, young lady. Now let's get to the resolution, Mr. Sanders. The resolution to this problem. It's a $1.6 billion issue that we're suffering from. We haven't came up with a plan to figure out how much we need at the minimum level to get the ball rolling. Bottled water, eventually it's going to cease. When national media stop looking at Flint, everybody's going to leave us alone. The governor asked for a declaration, a disaster declaration. The mayor asked for a state of emergency. It's word verbiage. The president wouldn't give us the disaster declaration because he said it wasn't a natural disaster. That's word verbiage. It's just word semantics. The way that you get it, and you can help us, Senator, we have to word it in a way that we can look at it as a natural. Water is a natural resource. Body is comprised of 70-75% water. You can go without food, but you can't go without water. People are dying from Legionnaire. How much do we have to say in order to declare this a disaster? But that we can get the money that New Orleans got and move this city forward. Thank you very much. Councilman Juan
Let me just say this to you, and let me respond to the councilor. It seems to me that if the city does not have the resources, if the state does not have the willingness, then in fact the federal government has to acknowledge this is an emergency situation and act accordingly. If we are looking at children being poisoned and perhaps suffering irreversible brain damage, if that is not an emergency, I just don't know what an emergency is. Now, the other thing, you talk about the impact, and other folks have as well, this leading to this, possible losing your house because you can't afford a high water bill. Let me guess that the value of housing in Flint is not doing terribly good lately. Is that a fair guess? So your property taxes are going to go down and your ability to fund city government. And not too many people, I suspect, are knocking on the door right now to try to move into Flint. Is that a fair statement? Right. Okay, thank you. Okay, I want to stay on. I want to get an understanding, and I'd like America to get an understanding of what we are seeing in this community with our own eyes. Who wants to talk to that? I see a hand right there. Yes, ma'am. Let's get a mic.
So I am a volunteer at the Autism Support and Resource Center. I'm a volunteer at the Autism Support and Resource Center in Genesee County, and we have kids coming in who, we don't just have kids who have autism, but we've seen an increase in kids who they have behavior problems and we don't know what's wrong. And so we have those children coming in. I just want to point out that we throw around all these terms like brain damage and can you imagine being a 10-year-old kid? Like, these kids are aware of what's going on for some part. And I just can't imagine being a 10-year-old kid who has behavior issues, who understands that they are poisoned and something's going on. And I see these kids and they're just discouraged. And even if there are problems that can be fixed, like the resources, I just am scared that people are going to forget about us and forget about these children. And these children know what's going on, and I feel like I see them and they are defeated. And I feel like some of these kids who come into the ASRC, they don't even want to try anymore because everyone is talking and it's scary.
Okay, raise hands. Got a gentleman right here, please. Can we get him a mic? Please stand up. Yep, just give us your name.
My name is Earl Logan. I come from the north side of Flint, one of the most volatile areas as well. Day to day, I still deal with my people day to day, every day. And I see people can't even afford to get a ride to go get one. And that is a hardship for my family as well. When I see people who forced to really drink water because they thirsty, and they forced to drink out of that home, or they tell us we can't shower and bath, and you charge us for death. You're charging us to drink death some way, because from my understanding, I heard that lead gets in your body and remains there. And that was new to me, and it can be passed down to your children through. So my question is here, that even through the bottled water, it's helpful, but it's not a solution for us. It's like a way just to pacify us, to deal, not hold on before we deal with the solution. And it comes to water, the lead pipes. I'm like, how did it get this far for a whole city, which was over 100,000 people once upon a time? And I see the shrinkage. Is it a plan to shrink Flint, shrink the north side, shrink this? That's how my personal opinion on it. But it's the bottled water is not. It's helpful, but it's not a solution, because there has been bottled water that has tested positive for lead, that I personally tested in my home, who I was giving to my children.
Let me ask you a question. Let me just try to, I mean, a lot of people have a lot of ideas, and I want to hear them all, but I want to pick up on the gentleman's point. And just to ask this question, I understand that they are distributing filters around the city. Are those filters doing any good? All right, who wants to talk about filters? All right, yes.
Okay, so my name is Blair Davis. I'm a student here at the University of Michigan, Flint, and have been for 2 years. What I've been hearing about these filters is that sometimes they don't even filter out what's in the water. They don't even work. It's, again, to pacify us. And if this were to happen in Lansing or any other richer city, it would have been done years ago. But no, it's been taken years to even address the water problems here in Flint. The filters don't even work. And it angers me.
All right, who wants to talk another word about filters? Gentleman right here, sir. Yes, right here.
Use a filter. Raise your hand. How many of you people know that if you run hot water through that filter, it will destroy that filter and no longer be effective? A lot of these people know that, but when they give these people these filters, they don't tell them that if you run hot water through it, and I've seen the video clips on the news of people washing their dishes running hot water through these filters, which destroys the filters, no longer effective. It's just something to make the politicians feel good. We'll give them some bottled water.
Let me ask you this question.
Filter.
How do you do your dishes if you don't have hot water?
You have to use them. I have a dishwasher, but the quality of the water is such that it is destroying the dishwasher. It starts to corrode. You have no choice. You have to take a shower. You have to wash your dishes. The only solution is replacing the pipes, giving us good quality water, and not giving us bottled waters and filters, and then saying, we've helped you out, everything's okay.
Senator, I'd like to speak on the bottled water.
Oh, yeah. Dan? Okay, one. Dan?
Okay, so the brother over here said that the bottled water is healthy. There's several different types of bottled water. There's distilled water, there's spring water, there's purified water. Okay? Purified water, when ingested at long periods of time as your sole source of hydration, is bad for you. Okay, there's nothing in there. Purified water is empty. It's void of any nutrition, any minerals, anything. Even that purified water, if you look on your bottles, I see right there, the bottle you have, is that purified water? Okay. Purified water, yours is spring water. Okay, good. Spring water is okay. Purified water, even if it's fortified with traces of minerals for taste, is not enough to fortify your body. What purified water does is it strips as it passes through your body, it pulls out the minerals that are essential for you for good health and takes it with it. Okay, so when you get rid of the water, you're getting rid of the minerals. So what you need to do, and for long-term use of purified water, long-term use by definition for purified water is about 3 weeks. Okay, if it's the sole purpose, if it's the sole source of hydration for you. So you need to be taking some sort of a supplement.
All right, let me ask you this, what I don't quite understand. Maybe I'm missing a point here. But when you have water emergencies around the country, what I usually see is water buffaloes, large tanks of water. But we're not seeing them in Flint at all. I mean, it takes a lot of these things to do a bath, correct? All right, who wants to speak to that issue? All right, I got a woman right here. Yep, get her a mic.
Hi, my name is Desiree Duell. I'm a community artist and activist, member of Flint Rising. The response has been totally inadequate from the state government. It is the activist groups that have translated information into Spanish and Arabic. It is the activist groups that actually know where the distribution sites. It is the activist groups that have canvassed all over the city, making sure that people get their information, that have done the billboards. It is the activist groups that have done all this work, and the response by the government, especially the state, has been zero. And we continue to do this as we are sick and we are poor. I am also a single mother who lives below the poverty line, and so are all of the people that are working in these groups. We are not getting paid for this work, and yet we continue to be victimized by having to help and heal our own community when the state is not fulfilling the response that is needed.
Okay, get the gentleman a microphone. Get the gentleman a microphone.
Hi, my name's Aaron Stevens. I actually traveled here from Lansing to come see you. So I'd actually like to address two different points. One is the water buffalo tank issue. So I'm a student of Michigan State, and for a while now I've been organizing, like helping send relief effort here, getting bottled water drives going. Like several of the, maybe more of the social fraternities you see really, really bad in the news, they actually have been organizing some good things, and that's a good, baby step in the right direction. What I have understood about the water buffalo issue, and I've called people in government about this and tried to get information so we could get those out there, is that sometimes the actual the metal containers can contaminate the water itself, and because so much water is flowing into the city, they can't ensure that the water's safe coming from all of those tanks. Now, that is not me. That is just what I have heard. Again, that is just what I've heard trying to organize relief here. But I think this problem goes further than just Flint. Somebody brought up the Freedom of Information Act. The fact that it doesn't go to the legislature and the executive office is absurd. The fact that you're going to be voting for your representative or your governor and you don't even know what their campaign contributions are and who's lobbying them is absurd. I truly believe that is where the issue is going to start, and that's where the issue is going to start again when the next thing happens. So I think it starts with the government, and I think they need to be held accountable 100%.
Okay. Okay, I see a woman right here.
I want to offer some information. In terms of getting water delivered, you can call 211 for water delivery. I'm a county commissioner. Are you having a problem with that? There's a number that you can call the sheriff's. You can also call the sheriff's department, and it's a little faster. I wished I had it right with me, but I would like to get that information out. Okay. Okay. What? Okay. It's been hard to get information out. The county has been spent about $1 million so far in terms of health department and sheriff's department over time to make sure that some deliveries happen, and more needs to happen with that. If you would, when you have concerns about the rashes and about certain things, try to contact the health department. We keep trying to get information out. It isn't always easy to do, and I don't have all the answers. In terms of, for instance, Legionnaire's disease, the Board of Commissioners found out about the same time as the general public. No, really. I can tell you, well, unless maybe the board chair, but I can tell you for a fact, we heard about Legionnaire's at the same time. The night Rachel Maddow came to town, I was in my office with the guy from the health department saying, tell me what's going on. And he brought me a stack like this, and he talked about how early on, and that was about a year ago, but the Board of Commissioners didn't know.
Let me jump in and ask a question, picking up. Thank you very much. Let me just ask this. I want to divert the discussion a little bit. When did we, now I heard something, and tell me if I am right, that General Motors itself learned about the quality of the water before the general public. Is that right? Okay, who wants to speak?
Senator, I will speak on that. I will speak on that.
Dan, why don't you say a word on that?
No, General Motors
Stand up.
General Motors reacted, and it's the plant that I work in. The plant reacted to it was rusting the engines that we build. Okay, it had nothing to do with lead. They tested for everything, the whole spectrum. I've had followed-up conversations with them just a couple weeks ago to find out what they knew. There was no lead in their reasoning for switching to Detroit water. The water that they were getting from Flint was too corrosive for their engine, causing rust, causing defects, creating problems in the product they were putting in the cars that people are buying and driving. There was nothing to do with lead.
But then, if the water was, if it was so corrosive, that's obviously not particularly good to drink.
Yes,
right?
but exactly, yes. That's absolutely true. But if we're talking about lead poisoning and not chemicals in the water, there's chemicals in water all across this country. So let's not confuse the two issues. Okay. There's a lead problem in the city of Flint. There's a lead problem, and it's killing our kids.
Okay. Yeah, gentleman right there. Yes, sir. Yeah, right there. Yeah, you. I'm sorry, ma'am. Stand up. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff I want to speak to, but to keep it on track, I'm a resident of Flint, and I also work at the University of Michigan, Flint. And in terms of General Motors knowing what they knew, it's not about lead. It's not just about lead. It's about a bunch of other things that have been in our water. And when we first had the switch over to the water, we wanted to know exactly what was in the water. And we had FOIA requests, and we made them through the ACLU, and this is where Kurt Guyette came in with his investigative reporting. And we were denied the FOIA requests. Absolutely, just refused to submit to the FOIA requests, and it took us over a year and a half to get that information, which is why it's coming out now. So we're finally getting the information about what was exactly in the water. It wasn't lead. We didn't even know that lead was necessarily a problem, but we knew it was a problem that GM did not want to use our water. We didn't want to use the water either. And so what we need, one of the components that we need, is to have a Department of Justice investigation into Snyder, because there are more ties. His wife has ties with Nestle. She's a spokesperson for Nestle, and that's correct. A lot of the water relief has been going to the Nestle Corporation, so a lot of the money is getting funneled to Nestle. There needs to be a Department of Justice investigation, because there are things going on that we still don't know about everything that's going on. Plus, there's been rumors that Kurt Guyette, again, the investigative reporter from the ACLU, who just got numerous awards for his legendary journalism, a lot of the stuff that's coming out. He's starting to look at the documentation from these FOIA requests that are finally getting submitted after years of demanding accountability. We're finally combing through all of these emails and these things that are coming out of the FOIA requests, and now there's suspicion that there's linked to the fracking industry. So this goes deeper, and there's more corruption, and we need to have agencies, not the agencies that are in charge, to investigate themselves. We don't need the foxes, investigating who's getting into the chicken coop, because we know. So we need an outside agency. We need it from high above, because this is corruption on the state level, and we want the information, and we do not have it.
So it sounds to me like people would like to see a Department of Justice investigation.
Absolutely.
All right. What I want to do now, I know people want to talk, but we have a limited amount of time. This is what I want to propose and throw out to you now. I want people to think about this a little bit. What is, if you had your druthers right now, if you had federal, state, and local government responding to the needs of the people of Flint, what would happen now? What would you like to see? All right, hold on. All right, raise your hand. Ma'am, right here. Got a woman right here. Please stand up. Get her a mic. Okay, here's your mic coming. Just hold it close to your mouth. You can turn around and also talk to everybody.
Thank you so much for coming to talk to us today. What I want to see, what I think the community wants to see, is accountability. we're sick and tired of hearing people say, well, they didn't listen, and well, gee, it wasn't my fault, it was their fault. It's about time somebody was held accountable for this and had their feet to the fire while they're actually providing us with some help.
Okay, what kind of help is needed? What is the course of action you would like? Gentleman over there, yes. Let's get the mic over there.
Hi, thanks for coming. I don't want to take away anything from the extremely terrible health situation that's going on right now. Right now in Flint, we have a water crisis that started from poor treatment of water that corroded aging ancient infrastructure that was not identified or replaced when it should have been 30 years ago. But that is not the only problem that we have here, Bernie. That's not it. When I was born here in Flint in 1980, we had the highest median household income of anywhere in the world. It was $84,000 median household income. Now, it's $21,000. We are the second poorest city in the country. 41% of our residents live below the federal poverty line, and as you know, you get close to that level, and you're already destitute. We have 1 in 3 structures in this city that need to be torn down. We have a $100 million blight issue in this city. We've been in the, top 3 most violent cities of the country for how many decades? Decades, Bernie. How many of our schools have been closed for lack of funding? We have 3 elementary schools that are open still here. We have a water crisis right now. But that's not the only problem that we have here. This city has been abandoned. The people had no choice but to leave and seek work elsewhere, and the infrastructure and their homes are still here. And we have no way to deal with it. We have a water crisis now, but when the attention turns somewhere else, the homes, the vacant structures, they're still going to be here.
I just wanted to pick up on your very cogent statement. It seems to me, and I'll be brief on this, that in a general sense, this community is impacted by disastrous trade policies. And I can tell you that as somebody who voted against NAFTA and CAFTA and PNCR. And in Flint, the situation may be more extreme, but all over this country, our infrastructure is collapsing. All right, and that is why I'm proposing $1 trillion investment to rebuild our infrastructure. And not only will it provide safe drinking water and better wastewater plants and better roads and bridges and mass transportation, you know what else it does? It creates millions of decent paying jobs. Okay, I got a hand over the gentleman in the blue shirt.
Thank you, Senator. My name's John Gleason, Genesee County Clerk. I want to thank you for being here. I want you to just think about this date, September 14th, 2014. There was a letter from my desk. I served in Lansing as a senator as well just a few years ago. From my desk to Governor Snyder's about this water situation. Now, he's saying he just learned the last few months. He has a letter. I have it on file. I give it to every single news agency in this area about the water in Flint, addressed to him directly to his desk. And I mentioned in there, as you just mentioned a moment ago, about the water buffaloes. That is highlighted in September of 2014. Now, this is what we have to do to fix this. We have to find out where the lead pipes are. Most of you just read in the last few days that they can't find between 11,000 and 15,000 houses even though they looked for 2 months. What we need, Senator, we need you to take this back to Washington. You must invest. You must invest in software, whether it's in Burlington or Flint, Michigan, this old structure. We have to be able to retrieve the deeds and the titles and the easement for the water mains that were put in these ancient cities. As you as mayor would know well, we have those documents on file. I'm the Register of Deeds for this county. We must be able to retrieve the land documents. In Flint, Michigan, the last 2 months, they've gone through index cards. Right? That's what they went through, index cards for these properties. If you would be kind enough to help your cities and those across the country, especially Flint right now, we must put those documents on software so that we can retrieve them. We have every one of them. We can scan those documents in days, scan them, and then put them on the software. But we need to do this across the country. Bay City is in the same situation Flint is, just an hour north of here. But if I could ask you to remedy one thing, if we're going to remove the lead pipes, we have to know where they are. And please dedicate some of the hundreds of millions of dollars we're talking about to just a few $100,000 to software for these older cities. That would be great benefit to all of us. Thank you.
Let me just. Okay, I see a hand over there. Can we get a mic? Stand up, please, ma'am. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Sue Bailey, and my brother-in-law owned a water plant in Grand Rapids. So I just want to clarify something before everybody gets misinformation. It's actually distilled water that will take the minerals from your body and not purified water. I just double-checked with him again. He said it's not purified water. Perfect pH balance doesn't exist, but it is the distilled water that will take you. And I don't want people to have misinformation. So thank you.
Okay, other comments? Yeah, we got a woman right here, ma'am. Yep, stand up.
I just wanted to point out, somebody has already mentioned the fact that Nestle's is very heavily involved in this, and the governor's wife is on the board. If you look at all the water that we're getting donated and people are buying all over to bring it here, it's either Nestle's water or Ice Mountain, which is owned by Nestle's, and Zephyr, which is also owned by Nestle's. This is a corporation that is making billions of dollars by stealing water from other communities and then selling it to people that need it because they're getting poisoned.
Okay. Got a woman right up front here, ma'am. You want to? Yeah. Okay, get the mic. Turn around.
You were asking about solutions to the water crisis, and I think it's a very long-term issue. It's going to play out for years to come. I think that while we are really concerned about lead pipes being replaced, we need to be concerned about the medical care of these children and adults. And I think also we need to be really concerned about the fact that our school systems are crumbling, and these kids are going to need special help when they get into the school systems and when they become adults, and it's going to take a toll on the city as a whole. The education, are they going to be able to get jobs? Are they going to be able to make money to afford things for the rest of their lives? This is going to be an issue. And I think while we think of solutions as lead pipes, we also need to think of solutions as we need to think about these humans that this is affecting. It's going to be a long-term issue.
All right, thank you very much. What's your first name? Anna. Anna made a very good point. Some of the damage could well be lifelong, and people are going to need help lifelong. Let me ask you this question. Thank you, Anna, for raising it. What about health care response to this crisis? Who wants to speak about that? Is it adequate? All right, ma'am, stand there. Health care response to the crisis. Can you speak to that?
Nicolette Metcalf, and I met with the U.S. Surgeon General at Mount Carmel Baptist Church. I asked him about the safety of our blood supply, our organ donations. What if we've got a baby that's in Hurley and NICU, and that baby needs a blood transfusion? Are we going to give it tainted blood? Is it copper? Is it lead? Is it TTHMs? Is it nickel? Is it cambium? Is it any other thing that was in that nasty Flint River that they did not check for? What about the organs that have already been donated? The bones that are on ice? He didn't have an answer. He's got a team of 14 with him, the top doctors in the world. One of them is from the Department of Justice. DOJ is here, people. But what do we got? We don't have any pipes. We have no water buffaloes. I contacted Homeland Security when all this started. I asked for water buffaloes. We had our petition. And as soon as they flipped the switch to take us back to that nasty water, to get us off the Flint River to go back to Detroit, that was the end of that. There's been no response for your health care. There's no free blood tests for adults. We do not have a list of victims, and John Gleason knows that we have our registry. Would be very beneficial if we had software where we could get a list of our victims. ATDSR is here. The rashes, they sent in the ACE team. That's what happened about 7 days ago when I met with the U.S. Surgeon General. But this is scary. This is real. We've been neglected. I live in Burton, but I've been poisoned too. I have 30 family members. One of my little cousins, his level's at a 5.5. His little sister, she's a year old, she's at a 4.5. Behavioral problems. I've been to the doctors. I've been to the ERs. I've seen the burns. The doctor at Hamilton North Point had the nerve to tell us that, well, you got a rash. Talk to the health department about that. No. I told him I had no respect for him. And how dare him say that the rashes and the burns are not from that water.
Yeah, gentlemen in the back there, we got a mic. Stand up. Yes. Yeah.
Again, I wanted to say thank you for coming to Flint. Infrastructure is kind of your thing, so thank you very much for coming here. Senator Sanders, I wanted to ask you why our governor hasn't been arrested for poisoning us. Why hasn't he been held under accounts of terrorism or domestic terrorism?
I have asked for his resignation. And I don't do this lightly. You know, people have political differences and you don't go around asking for somebody's resignation. But I think the dereliction of duty toward this community has been so extraordinary that I think in good conscience he should resign. All right, I want to get back to the health issue. Can we stay on health for a moment? Is that, who wants to talk about? I see a hand back there. Ma'am? Yeah, stand up, please. Yes. Can we get her a mic? Yeah, you got it. Okay. Yeah, you're on.
My name's Yolanda. I have a family in Flint, and I have young family in Flint with little babies. My concern is these young mothers, these young parents aren't getting the seriousness of this. They're saying, oh, well, hey, and they're just, well, we'll deal with it later. We really need community places where they can go get these blood tests, where we've seen where they've run out of blood strips. They've had to close the offices. The lines were so long they couldn't handle all the people that wanted to get tested. They're not being tested. So we need organizations, we need community places where they can go and get tested and find out what the results are. And we need to touch base with these young parents that don't understand the seriousness of this. And how we do that, I don't know.
All right, let me ask, just want to pick up on that point. What you're saying is there are a lot of people who are anxious, wonder what's going on, and they're not able to get the testing they need. Is that
That's
correct?
Right.
Is that true? People agree with that?
That's right.
Okay. Okay. All right. The gentleman right here, stand up. Let's get this gentleman a mic right here.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Senator Sanders, for coming. I'm part of a group in Flint called the Flint Coalition Web. It's a bunch of activists in Flint. We just started off new. We're trying to come up with solutions to present to governors, legislators for things in Flint. and we came up with 4 main points that we want to address. We've already addressed the Congressman Kildee and some other people. I want to bring up Senator Sanders and the public as well. The first thing is the obvious: the pipes need to be changed. I mean, that's a no-brainer. The pipes have changed ASAP. It's not like tomorrow we'll do it, eventually we'll do it. No, today it needs to get done. That's the first thing. The second thing is we support Senator Peters and Stabenow and Congressman Kildee's proposal on financial support for Flint. So they put up something for $400 million. And the state said that they'd match that with $400 million, and then the federal government would give another $200 million, which would be $1 billion total for Flint. And we really ask for your support on that one and to talk to them and get that money into Flint. The third one is an independent external auditor. So when that money actually comes in, we don't want the state taking charge of the money. We want some external organization to come in and make sure that the money gets passed through Flint, and people of Flint get that money. And then the last thing is to keep that money in Flint is also to make sure that people hired to do the job are from Flint. So the idea is you create more jobs in Flint, create more infrastructure, bring in the tax revenue. And the thing is, changing the pipes, like I said, it won't be overnight either once we start. So another 2 years. That's jobs for people for at least 2 years. Income coming in, rebuilding the city back to the way it was. Thank you. Last thing I just want to say, the Sylvester Broom Center offers free lead testing on Saturdays. So if anyone wants the Sylvester Broom Center, free, it's on North Saginaw Street.
Okay. All right. Tamara wanted to say something. Please come on up here.
I'm going to be brief. So my nonprofit gets in-kind donations from companies that can help. And so I've been trying to bring free blood lead testing to Flint now for over a month. And tonight we're going to be testing. We're testing adults and we're testing children over 6 because children of any age can be poisoned. Because of the snowstorm, we can only test 30 families tonight, and I think we already have them lined up. But I'm going to come back. I have they'll test as many people as I want them to test. We're also bringing free water testing, and primarily I want to test people who have filters. I want to test the filtered water for you, and that's also being donated to my nonprofit. So please help me help you by help me get the word out that we're reviewing this. It's leadsafeamerica.org, and you can follow our blog. So the website's leadsafeamerica.org, and I have 200 free lead paint test kits out there with a button, and our contact information's on the side of the button, our website, my cell phone number, my email, and our Facebook page. So we'll be back.
All right. Okay, we're going to have to bring the meeting to a close, and I apologize. I've got to get to Chicago in a while. First of all, thank you all for coming out here this afternoon. Well, second of all, thank you for your courage. There are a lot of people, when faced with this horrific situation, that have kind of cleared out of town or given up. You are fighting back, and I applaud you for doing that. And the third thing is, what we have got to do is not only rebuild Flint, but we have, as a nation, got to get our priorities right. What is stunning, if we were a poor country, a desperately poor country, maybe we could understand this. This is the richest country in the history of the world. And you have people out there talking about hundreds of billions of dollars in tax breaks for the top 0.2%, but apparently we cannot adequately fund cities and towns throughout America. All right. Flint can be a leader, and that's what you're doing, in changing national priorities and saying that every city and every town in this country is entitled to a strong infrastructure, good health care, good educational opportunities for their kids, a good environment if we get our priorities right. That's what we've got to do. Thank you all very much for coming out.
And that was Bernie Sanders in Flint, Michigan, Flint Forum there. I've got more than 400 of you watching right now. Thank you for joining us. That was just dropped in my lap on Slack. Somebody said, hey, look, here's Bernie live. Thank you, WNEM CBS 5, for providing that feed. I've never seen anything like that, folks. That, to me, was unprecedented I've never seen anything like it in politics and anything. Presidential candidate just letting the people speak. Here's what we want. And I thought their demands were quite reasonable. I think Governor Snyder should be in prison. I think he should be thrown in General Pop Rikers. I think the actions they asked for were brilliant. Letting the people have a voice. It's our government. Here's what we want. Please make this happen. I believe that if Bernie Sanders were president right now, and that were him as president, he'd go, okay, everybody, get that list. Go do it. But if Bernie Sanders were president, it would never have gone that far. We know that. We know that. Thank you all for joining us. 502. Ryan Lavicek says there's 502 joining us right now. Thank you all for being here. Wow, that was just a powerful, powerful bunch of testimony from Bernie, from people there. Not so sure I believe GM guy about the GM thing, but whatever. Not going to go there. The deal now is we need to get it fixed. It needs to get fixed a lot faster than state and federal government are doing it. And there's a lot of people that need to be held accountable. Some people that need to get fired. Some people that need to go to jail. And there's a lot of rebuilding that needs to be done. All part of that big plan that Bernie has outlined. So join us at 4. What are we at? 1:25. Join us at 4 p.m. my time, 7 p.m. Eastern, for We the People with Tim Canova. Tim is the gentleman we want to take Debbie Wasserman Schultz's job with the DNC. And he is running for a congressional candidate in Florida. Join us tonight. That's live at 7 p.m. Eastern. And right after that, we have Bernie Future to Believe in rally, which I don't have the card up for, but we have a Future to Believe in rally with Bernie Sanders. I believe we have a verified feed for that, and that is coming to us from Chicago. The guy is just everywhere. It's over here, it's over there, flying all over the place. It's one of the reasons we have a hard time coordinating feeds. But please join us for those two events tonight. 7 p.m. Eastern is the start. Stick with us through the whole thing. Tomorrow, the newsroom, 9 a.m. my time, noon Eastern for the rest of the world. And we're going to end here, folks. We're going to end this with... to keep it in line with what was going on right there, with Bernie being just awesome. And we were talking about this earlier. I'm not a religious guy anymore. I was raised Catholic. I don't believe in religion now, but I know a lot about it. And if I were to pick a person who emulates Jesus the most, it would be Bernie Sanders. He walks the talk. And here's his stance on religion. This was an answer to a question that he was asked on the last town forum, I believe. Maybe it was the one before that. And this was so eloquent, so beautiful, his answer. Not a prepared thing. And one of the volunteers, Freeman M., put this together in a beautiful video. So watch this. We'll see you in a few hours. Feel the burn, everybody.
This is what I believe. Every great religion in the world, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, essentially comes down to do unto others as you would like them to do unto you. It's a 22-year-old kid getting arrested in Chicago fighting segregation. I believed it in my whole life, that we are in this together, not words. The truth is, at some level, when you hurt, when your children hurt, I hurt. I hurt. And it's very easy to turn our backs on kids who are hungry or veterans who are sleeping out on the street. And we can develop a psyche, a psychology which says, I don't have to worry about them. All I'm going to worry about myself. I need to make another $5 billion. Hey, this whole world is me. I need more and more. I don't care about anybody else. I believe that what human nature is about is that everybody in this room impacts everybody else in all kinds of ways that we can't even understand. It's beyond intellect. It's a spiritual, emotional thing. When we say that that child who is hungry is my child, when we do the right thing, when we try to treat people with respect and dignity, I think we are more human. That's my religion. That's what I believe in. And I think, most people around the world, whatever their religion, their color, share that belief that we are in it together as human beings. If we destroy the planet because we don't deal with climate change, trust me, we are all in it together. That is what my spirituality is about.
Huge